suet and 6 ounces of marjoram and pound them together. Form into balls and sprinkle with good wine. Next, put into some vessel and seal it tightly, so that the color of the marjoram does not escape. Place in the shade for 24 hours and then into water. Cook slowly, then strain. Take another 9 ounces of marjoram and grind into the same suet and form into balls. Sprinkle again with wine. Repeat 4 or 5 times, and finally you can add a little musk or civet to them, and you will have an excellent thing. This is indeed a most excellent thing. This is in fact the best moisturizer that I've used in my life. Coconut oil gives me very similar results, but these are longer lasting. The cooking process described here renders the suet into tallow, which is a more easily usable form of the fat. In fact, the fatty acid profile of tallow is very similar to that of human butterfat and skin, meaning that our skin will accept the moisture readily and usually without any reaction, which is very good if you have sensitive skin like I do. Being about 50 to 55% saturated fat, this nearly matches with human skin's 50%, and because it is an animal lipid, that's even better, because the specific fatty acids are very similar to ones found in human skin. Marjoram provides the fragrance and no chemical benefit as far as I could tell. I also saw no benefit from the wine, and I can only think that it would be useful to draw out the scent of the marjoram, but in the finished product it separates from the tallow and I'd noticed no scent differences. It may be that the wine was used as an antibacterial medium, since raw suet would have likely still had particles of kidney on it. To make you beautiful, take breadcrumbs and egg white and mix them together and put them into vinegar for 2 whole days, and then use as you please. The acetic acid in vinegar has been proven to be a very effective chemical exfoliant, but is also highly irritating to the skin, eyes, and lungs. The vinegar is likely used as a preservative rather than an active ingredient. The breadcrumbs serve no purpose and are merely there as a binding agent. In fact, the egg whites would probably produce better results, as they tighten the pores, reduce the appearance of fine lines, have mild astringent properties, reduce oiliness of the skin, and even whiten the skin. These effects are temporary and short-lived, though, as the pores will not remain closed for longer than several hours, and in fact, the overuse of this can cause chemical burns and dryness of the skin due to the high acid content. Glycolic or lactic acid would be better modern replacements, as they are good sources of alpha-hydroxy acids which can penetrate the skin. When I tried this on myself, my eyes immediately began to water and my skin began to tingle. I could only keep the mask on for about 5 minutes before I had to wash it off, and because of the breadcrumbs, the paste clogged my sink. About an hour later, my face was still very red. As far as masks go, there are much better options out there. To make the hands and face white, take leaves and roots of nettle and boil them in water, and with this water wash your hands and face, and they will become white and soft. Here's the thing with nettle. We don't really know a whole lot about it yet. When it's fresh, the leaves and stems are covered with acetylcholine and histamine-injecting needles called trichomes. Nettles are fairly high protein for a plant and were used as an early spring staple when cooked in various cultures. Nettles are used to treat everything from cradle cap and cold legs to rheumatism and water retention. The processing method that this recipe describes deactivates the breaking out into painful hives compounds, but I haven't been able to find a way that it would make the skin whiter. Out of curiosity, I tried this with some wild nettle that grows on campus, but I didn't notice any effects. In fact, my skin seemed to become slightly yellower, which makes sense because nettle and marigold are both added to chicken feed in order to color egg yolks. It may be possible that this recipe is dependent upon a very specific strain of Italian nettle to work, but I haven't found any evidence for it. Water to make you beautiful. Take strong vinegar and lemons cut into pieces and put in a glass alembic, and put in powdered cloves and whole cloves, a little of each. Put everything in the alembic and save the water, which is perfect, and use. The alembic is the real saving grace here. If you were to just mix lemon juice, vinegar, cloves, and cinnamon, the upper layers of your skin would burn right off from the acid and the phenols. An alembic is essentially a still, meaning that the water produced from boiling all this will carry a fair amount of the beneficial chemicals, while theoretically being diluted enough that you don't end up looking like Freddy Krueger. The distilled liquid contains AHA from the lemon, antifungal and chemical exfoliating properties from the vinegar. The clove and the cinnamon likely provide some middling preservative properties or scent, but their use on the skin is more irritating than beneficial. Of all of these, I would definitely recommend tallow and honey-based skincare since they're both fairly cheap, safe, and effective. In the last 2 weeks of using the tallow cream, I've noticed less irritation when I shave, and my skin just feels healthier. I apologize to the vegans of the world. In the end, what can we learn from Katerina? Number one, don't be afraid of putting food on your face. A lot of the things that we use currently are just refined forms of things that are found in nature. If you're someone who considers themselves crunchy, you might be surprised that the things you find in your kitchen can give you better results than a lot of the petrochemical and paraben-laden, commercially available cosmetics out there. Number two, read labels. I've definitely found that after doing this project, I'm much more cognizant of what I'm putting onto my skin. After all, skin is the largest organ in your body. I plan to continue using several of these recipes, namely the scented grease. I would absolutely encourage people to get a bit adventurous and see what could be if they just put dinner on their face sometimes. Lastly, nothing is new. From fashion to technology and even medicine, everything that's new is the forgotten old. It's been revamped, purified, made cheaper, or something to make it more attractive in the modern day, but there are very few truly original ideas anymore. If you're feeling inspired, I encourage you to look back into history with a critical eye to see what we might need to pull into the modern era. Thank you for watching.